let's look at some of the things, how we progress in terms of the IT, for example, there is product development or application development, enterprise application architecture development, whatever it is, different contexts, but specifically within the IT context, you started off with, for example, anything, we start off with scoping, what is inside and what is outside the realm of that particular technology space. So we define that very clearly. So the concept testing, that's where we scope in, we start with the requirements at a very, very high level, and then we try and test the concept. And then we have this kind of architecture coming in place. We have a blueprint, how we can proceed, what kind of technology options we have, which platforms that we can potentially go with, what are the tool sets and all that stuff. So we do a bit of assessment as BAs here. Again, we can support the architect team, the solution architects, business architects, enterprise architects. We can kind of lend a helping hand to them in this situation, trying to, again, do a bit of comparative study here. And then the system design is where, again, we will have to do a bit of paper prototyping or some kind of concept evaluation. So we start getting into the, okay, we've finalized one particular platform, whether it is J2EE, .NET, or open source, or whatever it is. We would go with one specific platform as advised by the architects. And then we would start, looking deeper and deeper. We'll delve into the next few steps slowly but surely. And then the context of a low-level design. So we'll start with the low-level design. We'll start with a very high-level design, and then that's where the use case diagrams, the collaboration diagrams, and then the low-level design is all about specific technology. So we're talking about people who've got experience in Java, writing the Java code using some specific Eclipse-like tools. So that's, again, where we can, as BAs, we can do some kind of whatever they had developed at that point of time. And even if it's one page, we can kind of show that, use as a showcase to one of our own customers, some of our customers, our stakeholders. We can do a bit of that demonstration at that point of time. And then we start with the development, the full-fledged development comes in. We've got the front end, the middleware, and the back end. All of these come into picture. We've got the integration coming in slowly and surely. We've got different modules being developed at different teams. As I was talking about, some teams could be located in the UK, some of this could be in India, Hong Kong. You can have different Germany, anywhere. So all of these teams collaborate from across the globe to kind of start working towards stitching the code together. And that's where we do we use collaborative tools like Jira, GitHub, and these kind of things to have that collaborative development. Again, we can step in with some kind of prototyping there. We can use some tools like OmniGraffle, iRise, Azure, Xure RPO, not Azure, Xure, sorry, AXURE. That's a prototyping tool. And then if you look at this, the evolution of how all of this fits in the context of what we do as a BA against each of these. So at this point of time, as and when we start scoping the requirements, you will slowly and surely have the testing strategy being worked out by the test leads or the QA leads. So they start working out with respect to what kind of testing we should adopt. Should we have non-functional requirements in terms of performance tests? Should we have accessibility testing at all? So all of these, apart from just the unit testing and the functional testing, all of these things would come into picture when you kind of draw the test strategy. And then we start with the acceptance testing. Again, not the actual acceptance testing at this stage, but if you see here, that's where you actually get the big picture. So you start looking at, okay, what kind of acceptance test cases or what kind of acceptance test scenarios I could actually kind of think here. So you're not really doing a proper testing here still. All we are talking about is at this stage, each of these is mapped up. So each of them kind of maps into what kind of, the moment you have got a system design done there, you understand what kind of functional testing can be done, what kind of modules you can test, and what kind of data input and output that you could potentially have for each of the functionality that you have identified. So you could potentially do a bit of what we call as a formative testing. So this is where I worked out with one of the UX experts back a good few years ago when we were developing a financial planning product. So we have kind of understanding, well, this could be the potential product that we're developing. We need some kind of a feedback, how this could be received. Are we in the right track or not? So we created a Flash version of that. We used Flash software at that point of time, as I said, very long back. We created a Flash version, SWF version of that in terms of clicking and something appearing, the whole thing as a big interactive product application. And then we took it to the market, to the actual users, the financial directors, the CFOs, and people who actually could potentially use similar product. And then we had done the usability test at that point of time with these people. Again, it's restricted only to that set of module we were talking about, creating a financial report or trying to run some kind of the macros or creating different dimensions across time, across money, and across the sales figures and things like that. So very restrictive functionality, but still we could have this kind of initial look and feel, and the navigation, the presentation, the content. We could still get a lot of feedback at that point of time. And of course, integration test. So that's where you actually try and talk about the specifics in terms of how our application would actually kind of interface, and either interfacing with another product or have some kind of integration into another product. So previously we used to talk about integration, very tight integration, but now it's all about loose coupling. So this is called loose coupling applications that we have now, where you're exposing the APIs from your own application to others, and they'll be calling the APIs, and then they would use your own product's APIs. So that's how it's just basically loosely coupled applications are better in the current open architecture that we're working on. So we use a lot of those. And then we do the module testing as and when it is developed. Once it's completed, then we can go ahead with the full-fledged usability test. And finally, the developers could actually get to see the write up the unit tests for those functionality. And then that's how we actually kind of get into the overall framework of the user testing. So we can actually go to the users with the full-fledged, just before the launch, we can go there and have a kind of quick testing done with the users, actual end users, and ask them for feedback, and can kind of fix the defects and work on the changes. So